Welcome back to Blindside. This episode is brought to you once again by SeaTrack, your power to predict. Welcome back, Antoinette, Johnny. It's always a pleasure to share this couch with you. We're at the wonderful Sharks Stadium. We must say Hollywood Bets Sharks Stadium. It's been a phenomenal experience, this. Absolutely incredible. We've had some amazing conversations with the main role players in taking the Sharks, in my opinion, to another level. But we'll have them explain that to us. Just short, Johnny, your experience here. What have you seen that really stood out for you?
I was just amazed from the moment I walked in here, and I'll tell you what. A supporter in South Africa is an interesting breed, and before you don't visit the stadiums and the franchises and spend time with these incredible human beings, we tend to look at the badge, and the badge is the begin and end of everything. You know, and maybe it's time for the supporters to fully understand that first and foremost, we're working with people. And the people define the character and the discipline structure within an organization like this. You know, and the fan looks at the scoreboard, end of game, scoreboard, and that determines his mood. We should go that step further, and that's what we're going to do in this program, is to educate and excite Shark supporters out there with what's really happening, the loyalty, the discipline, the culture, the incredible mechanism that the team has put together to inevitably reach success. Whether it's this season or the next season, it's going to come. Because one thing that the Sharks are doing is they're breeding a spirit of excellence, and they're cementing a character that's steadfast. And that, for me, stood out this week.
100%, Johnny. Antoinette, what did you see?
Ek wil eintlik net begin die oomblik toe ons buite daai hek staan. Toe ons hier inry, toe was daar asof hierdie mense jou verwelkom met hierdie warmte. En is een ding om te sê jy het 'n kultuur, en is een ding om te sê jy is dit en jy's dit, maar ons het dit ervaar hier. Ons ervaar hierdie kultuur, ons ervaar hierdie warmte van hierdie mense en hoe hulle ons gehost het tot dusver. Ek bedoel, ons staan nou buite, die spelers loop so af om te kom oefen en elke liewe speler kom groet jou met die hand. So dis wat my ervaring is.
You're right, and it started with the guy at the security gate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's part of the team just as much as anybody else. Our first interview was with Neil Powell, and this segment is brought to you by Nashua. Neil, it's an absolute blessing to have you on our show, and I really mean that. We've known each other for a while, and Johnny's known you for some other reasons, and you'll elaborate on that a little bit later. You're in Sharks country. You spend quite a large portion of your rugby career in the Western Cape. Just tell us a bit more about your move here, how you found it, and where you stand in your current position.
Yes, I think I was 15 years at the Sevens, 6 as a player, and then basically went straight from playing into coaching, and then another 9 years in the coaching department as the head coach of Sevens Rugby, and I think at some stage in that 9 years you get into a comfort zone where you're just ticking over and you do the same thing every year, and you don't do that or go that extra mile anymore. And I realized that I needed a new challenge, whether it's maybe a new Sevens country or team to coach, or then move into the 15 space. And at that stage, the Sharks showed interest to get me over to the Sharks through Edward Coetzee. And I think it was just for me the right opportunity at the right time, and I took that opportunity. So so basically I had to move the whole family into Durban, from a very Afrikaans community in Stellenbosch to a very English community in Durban. And our biggest fear was basically the kids and how they will adapt to English schools, English cultures. But they've done amazingly well. I think it took them about 6 months to really adapt to the English culture in the schools. but they so much so enjoy it now that they actually don't want to go back to Stellenbosch. So, yeah, and I think it's been challenging coming into the Sharks, but I think in a good way. It took me out of my comfort zone. It forced me to grow as a person myself as well, and in my profession as well. So with the Sevens, it was just coaching and the on-field focus. This was almost more the off-field stuff, putting structures in place, sitting in meetings with SA Rugby and all the CEOs from all the different franchises. And I think it gave me the opportunity to not just see rugby on field, but actually to see the holistic picture of rugby. And I think it was really good for my personal development and for my professional development.
Yeah, there's a certain significance which struck me this morning when we walked into this place. So Conrad obviously took us on a bit of a tour around the stadium, and what struck me most is you can almost feel the culture here. There was not one player, whether he was in the gym or whether he was on his way to the practice field, that didn't stop and greet you. I've never seen that at the rugby union, to be honest. Now, we've had the privilege, Neil, to induct you into the South African Hall of Fame, so you're a Hall of Famer. You were inducted last year at the Olympic medal ceremony awards. And a culture starts somewhere. You started here 3 years ago, exactly. And you've brought something to the table that's tangible in the stadium. And I want to get to that heart. I want to get, look, talent will always get, and we've got the philosophy that that character supersedes talent. And then culture equally is just as important. How did you get that right? Is it part of your DNA?
Yeah, I think it's never just a one person thing. I think it's always a combination or collective of people that's in the system. So arrived here 3 years ago, and that was probably one of the big focus points is the culture. And I think especially coming from a team that had a very strong culture in the Springbok Sevens, it was important. And I think when I talk about culture, and I always say this, is culture is not a guarantee for success, but I think it's a big component of success. And culture you must feel it. It can't be something that is written on the walls and it's words that stand there, but it doesn't mean anything, or we can't see it in the day-to-day living of the people that's in that system. So to hear you say that you felt it and it was tangible is actually amazing, and it gave me a bit of goosebumps, because that's exactly what it is. That's what the culture is. It's what people see of you without talking to you about it. They must see that culture. They must see respect. They must see discipline. They must see humility. They must see all those things in you without you telling them that's what you stand for. So, and I think that culture for me is definitely one of the bigger components for success. And it's also a thing where discipline is important, because without discipline there can't be culture. If there's no discipline, then everybody can do their own thing. But now I get frustrated because you do something that I don't like, and he gets frustrated because I'm doing something that he doesn't like. So, but if we all more or less bind with discipline to do a certain thing, be on time for meetings, to not go out or have a curfew after games, then and if nobody trespass those rules or do something wrong, then we align and we get together and we actually build this culture and a connection that's so strong that actually flows over onto the field. And like I said, won't guarantee us success, but I think it's a big component of success.
My perception, a gold medal is a wonderful thing. Yeah. If you cannot be anything without it, you'll never be enough with it. Success has followed you for many years. From playing the game, coaching the game, being extremely victorious on the field to the Sevens, and then coming here. And I must tell you, I think the most beautiful characteristic that a man can have is humility and to be humble. And I want to get to that with Neil Pell, because that's what you scream it out. I always say to people, don't tell me you are, I'll see for myself. And how important is that characteristic trait when it comes to the success of Neil Pell. And I understand the team, but wherever Neil Pell is going, there is a success story. And it's beautiful to see, and I want to honor and respect you for that. And I think I want to hear from you on the humility side.
Yeah, I think it probably comes from my upbringing and the way my dad brought us up. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. So I was always Jimmy's brother or Corne's brother. I was never Neil Pell. So when I went from primary school to high school, my oldest brother was in matric, middle brother was in standard 8 to grade 10 and grade 12. So I came in not grade 10 and 12, and I came in grade 8. So I was always in their shadows. So I think that's part of the humility thing, because and it probably, I think, link onto a lack of confidence, to be honest, self-confidence, but I think I've overcome that in my past, and then I think the humility part, and believe me, I got it wrong plenty times as well, where the team was successful and then the focus shift onto outcomes rather onto processes, and then we fail again. So I've been to that side where that humility was not so much present, and there was probably a bit of arrogance as well, and thinking that you as a coach is a good thing. But then in the next tournament you fail again, and then you realize, but it's all about the people around you. It's all about the blessings that you're getting. So you would never see me massively excited after winning a tournament. It's more like a thankfulness for the blessing of being successful. And I think the humility also comes from what we focused on. So we determine success by processes and effort. So if the players and the coaching team is doing the job well, and we put effort, and we believe that the outcome will look after itself. So it was never about, yes, we want to win a tournament, going to a tournament. We always spoke about success. We want to be successful. And it's do your job well and bring the effort, then the outcome will look after itself. And I think focusing on those things is everything that you can control. Sometimes the result is not in your control. And we had few games where we really played well but didn't win, because the opposition was just better on the day. And then we also had games where we won where we shouldn't have won, because it was either lack of effort or lack of implementation of your job. So, but I think for me, I've learned quite a few lessons where humility wasn't always there, and where there was probably a bit of arrogance, or where I got maybe a little bit ahead of myself, and then I had to learn the hard way again that you got to stay on your knees and be thankful for the blessings that's coming your way.
So Neil, that alignment that you see here, and that family culture, and especially what you're doing with the coaches and the communication. We spoke to Michael a bit earlier, just on the actual communication part of how you guys deal with things, and staying aligned, not only with your values, etc., but also with the performance of the players and their call it their ability to adapt and obviously to develop. When it comes to schools, you guys are, obviously there's 10 or 12 very good schools in Natal, and how do you guys align with them, or try them to align with you, first off? And secondly, I know there's quite an effort to get the coaches, schoolboy coaches, into the system, whether it's upskilling them or whatever. How do you handle those processes?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to connect with the school coaches and with the schools. I mean, they're the feeder system for our junior levels. They're the feeder system for our coaching structures going forward as well. And I think if we can get it right, it's a beautiful story of a line system, not just in the senior setup, but from school straight through. And I think I'm not sitting so much in that space. I think it's more Mike Warak that's working with the schools, and in Kunrad as well from the commercial academy side. I'd really spend time investing in those schools and identifying the young talent that we think can be Sharks in the future. And I think by basically developing and growing a Sharks team with people that's already in KZN, I think that brings something different to bringing somebody in from the Western Cape or from the Free State or from Gauteng. I think there's just so much more like pride for the union, for the jersey. There's so much more love for this place. There's so much more loyalty towards this place, and you can see it in some of the senior players that came through the system, the Pepsi Buthelezis that went to school here in KZN, then came into the academy, then went into the senior system, the Ntuchukung Tunus, and it's unfortunate that he's left now and joined the Stormers, but they out and out Sharks men that learned their values, their love for the game, the love for the Sharks here, and then played for the Sharks as well. And you can see there's just a different feel and connection to Sharks rugby if you bring those guys through your system.
Yeah.
Obviously, responsibility is the ability to choose your response, and the accountability being the director of rugby at the Sharks is huge. Let's forget about the scoreboard in the corner, and which reflects whether we win or lose. There's a certain sentiment when it comes to the supporters where everything is about the win. Okay. And unfortunately, the flip side is when it goes south, it doesn't go well. How important is it for you as a human being to ensure each and every player, because biologically you've got 3 boys, but you adopted a lot of players as all your children at the union. How important is it for you to shape these players not to become only Sharks rugby players, but to become Sharks citizens, Sharks husbands to their wives, Sharks fathers to their children? How important is that in your roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, that's always been massive. Even when I was back with the Sevens, it's not just about developing the player, but it's also developing the person. Because if you really think about it, professional rugby is from the age of 18 till, if you're lucky, 35. But then after 35, if you live till the age of 85, there's another 50 years where you're not in the rugby system versus the 17 years in rugby. So what is more important? Is it the game for 17 years, or is it what you're doing in that 17 years as a person, and then the 50 years after rugby as a person? And I think it's always been about instilling values in those players, developing respect, discipline, humility, loyalty to some extent as well, because I think it's something that don't exist amongst the young players anymore. It's about where they can get the most money and then they just go. So, and then hopefully in that process make them better fathers and better husbands that look after their wives better, but also look after their children better. And I think there's so many examples of broken homes and kids with broken homes and absent dads or absent parents that come into the system. And I think it's such an honor to almost sit a little bit in that space, and you won't fully sit in the space of a father for somebody else's son. But there's still a part of it that you can sit in that space and go, but I can help you, I can guide you, I can mentor you with whatever the challenges that you're facing, because I've been there and I've seen it and I've made the mistakes. So you don't have to make the same mistakes. You can actually learn from my mistakes.
I think what's heartbreaking for me, I mean, Frank Sinatra sings a song My Way, and there's a certain verse that he sings, and he said, I ate it up and spat it out. You know, and we have perception that whether it's a union and whether it's a club or whether it's a school, the winning culture has become so big where the player almost gets abused for sake of winning, and then the player gets spat out. Certainly, luckily I know you and I know who you are, and I want to honor you for bringing that culture into the Sharks, because like you said, you know, character will always supersede talent. And you know, who's Neil Pell when he's not the director of rugby? Who's Neil Pell when he's not victorious as a World Cup winning team for the Sevens? You know, and I think that's the essence of what we're trying to achieve, is we want to inform and educate and excite the public out there that when players from a school level comes into the system, it's not only about what happens between the lines, it's much more than that.
Yeah, no, exactly that, and especially for my boys as well. And you see it so many times in schools rugby where the parents have put so much pressure on their kids. and the way they actually behave next to the field. And then the boy is 12 years old or 14 years old, and they want him to be a Springbok at the age of 12. I've never seen a Springbok at the age of 12. So, and the pressure they just put on the kids, whether it's rugby, whether it's cricket, whether it's soccer, netball for girls, hockey, whatever it is, I think. And that's why I've almost gone the complete opposite side. I don't coach my boy unless he asks me to coach him. So I'll only take him to the training field or to the rugby field if he said to me, Dad, can you help me with my kicking? Then I'll go. But there's no ways that I teach him how to tackle, teach him how to pass. Unless we play a bit of a game in the backyard at home and I can see there's something that he can improve on. Then I go, Josh, keep your left hand longer behind the ball when you pass, because that's your power. If you take him off too quickly, then you're not going to have power. And then he'll implement it. But it's not a coaching session. It's within the games. I'll give him some instructions, but I refuse to coach him until he's got a healthy adult mind and he can make a decision that he wants to become a professional rugby player. And that's probably only at the age of 15 or 16. And then if he decides, then there will be consequences if we make that decision. Then there's going to be sacrifices that he needs to make.
So let's talk about that, because, we say this quite often. Every parent thinks that his kid is or has the potential to become a Springbok or whatever the case might be. And we always say there's nothing wrong with that. Every parent, must love his kid that much and trust in his abilities. But just talk us through that part of it. I mean, you've seen it at Sevens, you've seen it at Unions now. What are the main attributes for a player that comes here? He's got the talent. What are the main attributes that needs to be installed at home, call it that, or that you sometimes see that lacks when they come here, that makes or breaks a rugby player?
Sure, I think a lack of discipline on field. I think internal motivation, that thing that drives you on the inside to do your extra work, to go out and do extra skill sets, to actually do your recovery, do your rehab without somebody looking over your shoulder and motivating you. I think mental skills, that mental toughness to push through. I think we live in a society where everything is easy to get, and I don't think the mental toughness side of it is we're not willing to work hard to get what we want. So work ethic is definitely one of it, and I think that's why it is so important for us that when those 19-year-olds or 18-year-olds come into this commercial academy or into the academy at the Sharks, they need to understand what it takes to be a professional rugby player. We can't make it easy. It can't be a comfortable environment, because it's never going to be comfortable if you want to reach the highest levels of rugby. You got to sacrifice comfort for high performance. And I think this last season we've really upped it in terms of that in the academy. And there was certain players that lost 8 kilograms in 6 weeks because we really pushed them hard. And we put a set of disciplines and we tightened up a little bit on the discipline here to say, listen, this is what it's going to take to be a professional rugby player. This is what we want you to do in the next 6 weeks. And I think it also set the tone in for the rest of the season. And the amazing thing is you can start seeing it in the results of the junior system. The fact that we had 8 players in the SA under 20 team that was successful in the under 20 World Cup. The fact that the 2 junior teams are really doing well now in the junior competitions. I think the under 21s are second on the log now, and then the under 19s third on the log. But it's by far not a complete system yet. I think there's still a lot that we can improve on to make it a better system. And then lastly, it's a massive focus on individual development in the junior systems. I think if the senior coaches still got to coach fundamental or position-specific skills, when those juniors come through the junior system into the senior system, then the junior system has failed. So it's all about individually developing those young men on and off the field so that they can be good professional players.
I must tell you, Neil, it's certainly a collective effort. You've had 3 seasons. The change from a culture perspective and from a discipline perspective has been immense. If I owned a franchise, you would have been top of my list for rugby director. I am extremely excited. The ship is turning, there is no doubt. And to the Sharks supporters out there, I can 2 messages. The Sharks, watch this space, I think, and secondly, if for a parent out there, you know, it's about talking the truth, and you can't contradict it. If you want to send your boy, a talented boy, somewhere, certainly this is an option, because it's so much more than just rugby. Good luck with your role. We respect you from a blindside perspective. We are looking forward to see what's going to happen with this franchise. And trust me, with a man keeping the reins like yourself, it's going to be successful. We honor you, we respect you, and we're excited about the future of KZN rugby, and especially the Sharks.
Yeah, thank you. We can see, especially in your junior levels, we saw it at the Craven Week, we saw it at the National Weeks. I always say the gap was always between North and South. The Sharks boys has come and filled that gap quite quickly. So there's obviously some amazing things happening at the juniors as well. And I know that you guys are putting a lot of effort in through Kunad and them to connect with the coaches at schoolboy level, etc. So yes, congratulations, and not only obviously on your side, but also for the amazing team that you've built around you. You can see that, and you can see that there's that alignment. And like Johnny says, if I'm a parent with a boy that's got to make decisions between unions, this will definitely be on the top of the list after what we've seen today.
No, thanks so much, guys, and thanks for having us. And yeah, like I just want to say it again, I think it's about the people in the system, and how we all align and working towards the same goal. So it's some amazing people that helped to build this union to what we hopefully will reach it in a few years from now.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
We celebrate great achievements by extraordinary South Africans so that we can inspire our youth, and then we want to empower them to reach their full potential.
We are here to celebrate history.
He who has a big enough why can bear with any how.
They will leave behind a legacy.
We will never stop creating hope for our future generation.
Johnny, every school, every union we visit has got its own unique components to it. But Neil, as a person, I mean, it's just, for me, it's one of the most respectful persons, one of the most respectful human beings that I know. But he emphasized a couple of things in his interview, and we touched on it off screen. I mean, what a phenomenal guy, Johnny.
Yeah, look, I'm a firm believer of monkey see, monkey do. You know, when you really listen carefully to Neil Pell, there's a saying that goes around, don't tell me who you are, I will see for myself. Now, when you carefully listen to him, he's talking about his children, he's talking about the culture, he's talking about who he is, he's talking about the DNA that he's trying to establish. And it's apparent that he's putting his fingerprint down, not based on what he's read in a book or how he perceives things to be. He puts his fingerprint down on who he is. And I think that's important. And I've said it, you can follow the trail of Neil Pell. Wherever he started playing sevens, coaching sevens, becoming the director of the Sharks, he's been successful right through. You know, so obviously there's a value system implanted in Neil Pell, which he takes with him, and by living those principles, he is really injecting that spirit of excellence. And that stands out for me at the Sharks, not only with Neil, but with his entire team. And I've said it to the guys here. You cannot explain it. You can feel it when you walk in here. You don't, the moment that Neil Pell walked into this presidential suite, the tangible aura that he brought into this into the space, it's something that you just pick up. And that for me is a characteristic trait that transpires the humility with which this entire team is operating. And I referred to it earlier, when the fans at the Sharks start realizing that their team is solid, the value system, the loyalty, the passion, the perseverance, and the true north. Let me tell you one thing. These guys don't play, and Neil especially, he's not playing a game for the spectator. He's living it. His values is in place. And, with a team like this, you can conquer anything. And we, again, our fans look at the scoreboard and then they reflect based on a win or a lose. This rugby union is developing people, and look, they see it. You've got 17 years at most to play rugby, and after that, you probably have got another 50 years before you die, if according to stats. And I think first and foremost, they're creating great human beings. Will the Sharks be on top again? There's no doubt. It's going to take a season or two, maybe sooner, but watch the space. These gentlemen are just incredible human beings.
Ek wil weer terugkom na humility, nederigheid, en Neil Pell sê dat hy self geleer uit sy eie foute uit. En ons sê altyd hierdie goed kom van bo af. Ek bedoel as die direkteur van rugby vir jou sê hy moet nog leer en daar is foute wat hy al gemaak het in sy lewe. Hoe belangrik is dit nie wat deurtrek na die spelers toe en hoe belangrik is dit nie vir 'n jong speler om nederig te wees nie.
Yeah, let's talk about mistakes just for a moment. And I personally try to teach these lessons to my own children. How do we gain experience if we don't make mistakes? You only get experience through making mistakes. The life has got a way of teaching us more than our parents or a coach can ever do. And when you look at Neil, he admits that he made mistakes. He's not bigger than the game. He's been on the other side of the fence, and he calls it arrogance. But how beautiful is it to take the responsibility of your actions and say, through my mistakes, I've learned these lessons. And that is why he's the man he is today.
Absolutely. One thing that really stood out for me with Neil is the way that he, like you said, he walked in here, immediately you've got that presence that you know that has walked into a room, and immediately that presence transforms into humility in the way he greets you, the way he talks about, he talks about this place, and he said to us, he spent 15 years in Stellenbosch, that was home. They had to adapt to a completely different culture, which not only is Durban, but it's English Durban, and they needed to adapt to that. But here's how humble to then do that. First of all, he wanted the challenge. He said he felt that he was becoming complacent in the life space that he was in, and he needed this challenge. And I think with what they are doing and the way that we saw players react to us when we were walking around, the way we saw that of what he spoke about without them having to tell us that even before that. So for me, just an incredible human being, somebody that belongs in a role like this, in a role where I was seeing pretty much rugby as a whole in Sharks country, and yeah, I think they couldn't have had a better option or better choice than Neil Pell, and I'm not even guessing this. I'm predicting that this is going to take them a heck of a long way, and you could see the same values with the guys that's within his team, working with them. I call it his team, but I mean, it's it's almost like they are a band of brothers. You could hear that. They all talk the same language. They all talk the same motives with players and the way they want to develop people. And I think we're going to see some amazing stuff.
Yeah, look, if there's one thing that I've learned in my life is that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That becomes your average. Now you can filter through everybody we interviewed. It's positive influence upon each other, but it's like-hearted people. Their values are in place. Their characters is steadfast. All of them. We cannot say one of these guys was out of place. You can, and isn't it true that is what makes any team, any organization, any company, any family successful? Is the value system, and that stood out for me.
Absolutely. We had the privilege to have also an interview with Michael Wurak, and this segment is brought to you by MediHelp. Michael Wurak, it's a privilege for us to be in this wonderful and historic stadium, Hollywood Bets Kings Park. It's and it's an honor to speak to you about what's happening here. You're the high performance manager of the Sharks, and we've taken a short tour, and Koenraad took us around, and it's absolutely amazing what's happening here, especially with your junior levels. Take us through a typical day of Michael Wurak.
So firstly, welcome to you and your team. It's a privilege for us to host you guys here. Rugby, I think, is full of perceptions from the top to the bottom, and it's quite amazing, and I congratulate you guys on your endeavors to kind of show the people behind the scenes as how things really work. I think it's long needed, and I think it's quite informative, and I think people will find it quite interesting to see the inner workings of a professional rugby setup. So just for me, quickly, in my role as high performance manager, so my main function is I just support across the rugby staff across the whole business unit. I do all the contracting. I'm responsible for the management of all the budgets for the rugby operations. I'm also quite closely linked with player contracting to make sure that we got enough players, and then enough players of quality. That's in conjunction with the various coaching staffs. So a normal day for me would be I probably get here at about before 7 in the morning, have a look at the various coaching or the training sessions of the previous day, just to make sure that everything is running okay. And then it's obviously quite a liaising and interpersonally how can I say, challenging job, because we have to speak with the various business units, the conditioning staff, the medical staff, to make sure that how the players are progressing. With the academics, with Koenraad and them too, we've got a couple of on-site providers here. So also making sure that the youngsters that come to us can progress successfully and obtain tertiary qualifications. So that's in the morning, pretty much is a rundown, a brief of a typical morning for me. And in the afternoons, I'll go watch the training sessions. I'll have meetings with the players or with the staff again, and then obviously try and strategize and look if there's anything that we need to solution. So it's quite a varied and quite a diverse portfolio, but it's something that I really enjoy, and it's quite a relationship intense role, which something I treasure and that I fully appreciate.
And that's interesting to hear, because for us, and I mean, the show is about informing and educating, and thank you so much for that wonderful compliment. We really appreciate that. The importance that we saw here is that relational component. I mean, I said to Koenraad off camera, these guys don't have to come and shake your hand, but there's a culture here that is that relational. I mean, they literally, every single player that we passed came, stopped, "Hi, sir, I'm so and so," and it's that to me is it's incredible. We see it at some schools, and you think, that's great to see that culture, but to see it in a professional environment like this is quite special, and I think it comes down to that personal relationship thing, doesn't it?
Massively, and the beauty of us here is that we know good people become good sportsmen, right? And a lot of these people, and I actually get goosebumps when I look at when I think about it, is we're actually ambassadors of this special brand, and the behavior that we practice every day is actually is our privilege, and that's what we've got to always remember. We've got a long heritage. This union is more than 100 years old, and there's been some icons come through this and play for this black and white jersey. So for us, it's responsible to uphold certain values, and I guess then that transpires into our training and transpires into our play, and hopefully later in life it also transpires in our family lives. When we become fathers, can we lead with those same values and those same ethics that we learned whilst playing rugby? The discipline, the work ethic, the teamwork. Those are important things to us, because I guess that rugby is also here in our environment. We kind of put a special emphasis on understanding where rugby fits in your life and it fits in these players' lives. Yes, they think it's everything and that's what they do for a living, but there's certain realities and facts which they sometimes don't understand, and that's the following. They do not have, they've got control of a lot of things, their attitude and their behaviors, but there's two things as a professional sportsman that they have no control over, and the one is injuries. It's just the way it is. You can do everything right, get injured. It's something you got no control over. And to me, the second thing is if the coach picks you or not. Correct. I mean, at the highest level, we can debate, and it's often debated around campfires. Is it Bongi Mbonambi? Is it Malcolm Marx? Is it time for Manus van der Merwe? Is it Jan-Hendrik Wessels? So it's a subjective process in selecting a team. So for us, when we desensitize that and say, well, the old adage is of control the controllables, but if you understand and you rephrase the player's just perception of where rugby fits in his life, it makes things a lot easier, and it also helps us a little bit to drive certain other behaviors. You know what I mean? Spend time with your family, go to church, go spend time with your faith and your religion, try and engage outside relationships with people that don't play in the professional sport or don't sit in the professional sporting arena, you know what I mean? Those things are also important, because when it's not going well with your rugby, it's only one small part of your life that's not going well. It's not your whole life is, in Afrikaans they say in sak en as, because you're not getting selected for a team, So, but those are things that is the privilege that we have, is when the players come in here, they all just think rugby, 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 rugby. And it's over time when we start unpacking that, it's beautiful to see these guys, and what they get involved in outside of rugby, because these are seriously talented human beings, which to date, the reason they're here is because of rugby, but it's not everything. So once you start discovering that and journeying with them, it's an amazing privilege.
Yeah, and again, that's pleasing to hear, because we all know the percentage of guys that really make it to the top is so small. I mean, take Eben Etzebeth as an example, a Jesse Krill, whoever. They've been in that system at the Boks for 10 years now. So whoever followed in the 10 years that they've been there might have been good ones, whatever, but they're not playing for the Boks. There are guys in place. So that top tier guy that makes it eventually, it is really a perception of a coach, and it's a lot of favor, I think, and good things that happens to you in your life. But what you guys are creating here is such a balanced, and that's actually the word I want to come to. It's a balanced environment where they understand that rugby is important, but it's not the most important. There's a lot of other things that comes into play.
So yes, and I once again, I've got to give a lot of credit here to our former CEO, to Dr. Edward Kutsia, who initiated it. Obviously, Marco Mazzotti and the MVM consortium came on board and they're unbelievably supportive and they're ambitious. So they've got on-field expectations, which we've got to try and deliver. But the whole, if you look at rugby as a whole, it gives you, if you see it as a gift, there's a couple of other strings to the bow in rugby. So one is the on-field playing against each other, but the second thing is the experiences. I mean, you're an ex-player yourself. Traveling first class or traveling business class, you don't do that. Not many people do that post their sporting career. Staying in 5-star hotels, being seen by the best doctors, best physios. So that's a blessing in this gift, right? Part of the gift. The second one is connections, people you meet, friendships. It's a very special bond when you have to fight with each other there on the field to try and get a specific result. The respect and that's something, or the respect and the trust and just the humanism and the relationships that get formed there are just on another level. The third thing for me is also, so base that on also, I take it a little bit further when you talk about connections. These people that own these suites and come sit here every weekend are managing directors and owners of companies. And I take, for example, a guy like Schalk Brits. After rugby, he's just walked into a job at Remgro. But where was the initial connection? Is in rugby. You know what I mean? So it's for us to kind of say to the players and to try and say, well, here is this gift. What do you want out of it? There's also an educational piece. I mean, I take a lot of times when I look at Dr. Yanni du Plessis and I laugh, because when he was studying medicine, the amount of help he needed in tests, to miss a test, to catch up tests, to get extra work sent to him specifically, it is a privilege that kind of is afforded to a very few people, because otherwise you're just student number 654, but it's not like that. These guys really do try. So these are all part of the gifts. There's also the financial benefit that
Correct.
Sometimes life's changing. Some of these guys come into the system, and as they grow through, I take a guy like Apelele Fassi, where he came in here to where he is now. He's a rock star now, right? But to see that growth and to see that, and we're happy for them, right? So because it is life changing, and it doesn't just change his life, it changes a load of people around him's life, and it gives a lot of hope, because a lot of people that were at Dale College or that are at Dale College now want to be like him. So they're willing to put in the effort, they're willing to change their behavior to try and get there. So for me, yes, that's the privilege of it, which is we're trying to really get good guys in here, but it's based on that because we want to share this gift with as many people as possible. Last little bit on that is Marco initiated a player development program, and it was for life after sport. So all these senior contracted players here have got mentors in the business world, outside of rugby, which they connect with, right? And some of these guys are the leading, are top business people in the world. And it's, once again, how did it create? It came with, listen, why can't we connect these guys who have been successful in business with the players here? Because at some stage, they're also going to go through the transition from professional sport to business. And how more if these guys can share a couple of ideas, the do's and don'ts, the watch outs and go forth. So yeah, small program, special people, everybody trying to achieve a common goal. I think it's the recipe for magic.
Absolutely. And something that struck me, what you said now, is over and above the balance side of it, is that portion after rugby. I mean, so many other places, let's not name places, but some other places, you remember when you get in there, there's a row of talent behind you, and if you're not good enough, you're going to fall by the wayside and somebody else will take your place. And I sometimes wonder how much emphasis there on actually taking that guy to the next step of his life, call it that, and how much support there is. So to hear that there's stuff in place and that it actually comes from within this family, which I think is phenomenal, to look after these guys. After, obviously, the player also needs to be willing and want to do that. But I think with this type of culture, it's just phenomenal.
But so that also we've got to see that part of it is the end of the process. It all starts when they arrive here, is to try and make them understand that there is a life after rugby. Is trying to understand that for you to get the conversation, you need to have some sort of skill set. So that's where the education piece comes in, and making sure, and not everybody is going to become a medical doctor. Understanding that there's guys here that will become salespeople. There will be guys that go into the motor trade. There will be guys. So for us, it's because we kind of pride ourselves on not being a mass market environment. We try and be as accurate as possible on the front end to the guys that we bring in here, have the same understanding and the same common goal as us. And as I say, it's not just rugby. It's got to be the holistic picture of this is what we can offer you, but you also need to bring your little bit. So then by that time at the back end, it actually becomes quite easy, because there is a skill set, there has been a longevity in the relationship. And then it's kind of just the humanism of helping each other and trying to make sure we're not trying to fit square pegs in round holes.
Correct. Let's talk about your school systems. I mean, we visited a couple of schools, and it's been absolutely an honor. But to hear what's going on here is quite interesting. But because what you say is pretty much what we heard at the schools as well. Without you guys talking to each other about the program, really, you didn't know who we're going to see. So it's amazing to hear that type of. It's almost like an ethic that runs through all of the Sharks schools, if you want to call it that. Which I really enjoyed. Important though that you also said to me off camera, you guys look at your Natal boys, because there are a certain number of schools, and you try and bring them through the junior structures, even from schoolboy level, to identify them. And I'd like for you to just elaborate on that a little bit. But then you also do go and look outside of the province, obviously, and if there's talent. And also talk to me about where you actually see that and what you look for. So the question is, how important is the homegrown guy for you? And then when you do bring somebody else from a different province, what are the main things that you guys are looking for?
So yes, the answer to your question of are local kids important to us? 100%. Because for us, these kids, Durban is such a special place that we got such a large following of brand loyal people, and it's always been. I remember having my 12th birthday party here at Kings Park, and all I wanted to do is play for the Banana Boys. I think that's every KZN schoolboy's dream, and so for us, it also then plays into the fact that. The people want to assimilate themselves when they come watch the Sharks, and there's a Pepsi Buthelezi playing here, or there's a Nick Hatton playing here, but Pepsi was at DHS, yes, but he was with my cousin or with my uncle. There's a reason then, there's an emotional connection to come watch the Sharks. Yeah. So if you look, and we're doing an amazing work, Mike Leslie and his team on the marketing side, are doing an amazing team to make this such a pleasurable match day experience for young people to come here. But it all starts with that connection. I'm going to go and watch rugby because, my mate's playing, or, I know this guy whose cousin is Nick Hatton who's playing this weekend. So I think that's quite a strong reason why we do it. The second part of that too is because these kids love the brand. For us, it's kind of like when I looked and when we benchmarked this against the Crusaders, when those Crusaders guys, it's like the Crusaders in New Zealand. It's nearly like those Whitelock brothers find another gear and got another reason why to do it. So that's what we've kind of looked at here, and we've had a lot of success with it, and our conversion rate is amazing. So I'm really proud of that. Your question of outside the province, sometimes because the KZN system is quite a small system, sometimes there will be certain positions where we might not have the guys that we think we need. Then we head out of province. We do a lot of work from under 13, 14, monitoring guys, watching, going to all the major festivals, going to all the SA EPD camps, trying to compare the talent against each other. And then once we kind of narrow it down, we really try and say, okay, if we're going to bring this kid in, is there a pathway, and can we take him right the way through? So there is a mortality rate with talent. I mean, that's just the way it is. There's injuries, like I say, some guys just having a perception and an idea of what pro sport is, and when they get here, you know, it's the cumulative load is quite tough. So then there's a bit of maybe a fallout there. But I think that, you know, I'm really proud to look back, and even the guys like a Dylan Richardson, who's come through our system, gone and played for Scotland. We celebrate them, right? I mean, but we're celebrating the Ethan Hookers, the Pepsis, the Sanele Nohambas, who's sitting in Japan now. So for us, it's can we as a brand and can us as a Shark system tool these guys, and wherever they get success, the amazing thing is when they've got a week or two off, they always come back here, because this is like, for me, when I watch them, it's like home to them. You know, the Bismarck du Plessis and those guys still come here and to me, that's the amazing thing about this brand, is that you've got people here that really care about the kids and care about the athletes. And yeah, so I think are we 100% successful? No, because we're not there yet. It's not like our trophy cabinet is bulging at the moment. We've done well, there's a lot of work to be done, but on the basis of the fact that we got good people involved, and we're trying to like kind of make a real difference to the kids, I think that we're along the path. So I'm excited to see where we can take it.
I think the good people will eventually bring that cabinet full of trophies, to be honest. I think there's a lack of that in certain areas in the country, and I think this type of ethics, to be honest, is for me, it was absolutely mind-blowing in terms of respect and the discipline and again the work culture. I think, you know, you guys set the platform is here you go, but there's a lot of work to be done when you get here, and I think you guys do it holistically. It's not just the rugby that counts, and on that subject, I mean, we know that there's a very few that really makes it to the top. So what is the key factors that you will tell a young man that you are on the brink of signing a contract or a deal with? What does he need to bring to the table over and above the rugby side of things?
So just reverting back to what we discussed a little bit earlier, those two things, injuries and selection, those are real. So any guy that's on the cusp of signing or joining a union and signing a prolonged deal, for my thing is that kind of he's got to bring, firstly, he's got to be himself. There's a reason why he's got to where he is. If we're talking around, let's say a guy like Jerenzo Julius, come here from Paul Roos, he's a Namibian-born boy. He was kind of, and he's found himself, right? He makes his own decisions. He's got a bit of money now. He's got time to make decisions. So for me, I would always say to that guy, be the person that you've been to date. But then the second thing is make sure you understand that you've got to still be able to inspire people with your behavior. Because as much as it's been a journey to the way top, and this way he's going to be playing in front of 60, 70,000 people, he's still Jerenzo Julius from Namibia, who went to school at Paul Roos, who's just a normal human being. So for me, maintain your humility. Second thing is the discipline is a massive thing, because suddenly now you're eating bacon and eggs where you're eating cornflakes a couple of months ago. Have you got the discipline to kind of maintain your behaviors? And the third thing is, I think, is what we've got to also show these guys is they've got to enjoy it. Because I look at it and I see these guys, some guys don't take time to actually enjoy the privilege of and look around and appreciate the look in these fans' faces. I mean, our attack coach, Dave Williams, does an amazing thing about kind of looking, he's got a camera that he kind of just looks at the crowd the whole time, and he shows the boys of how sport puts smiles on people's faces. And I think for players, the guys that are going through the system, stop, smell the roses in the garden, you know what I mean? Like, just appreciate that, because it's soon over, and those are the memories that will take you back to, or take you or live with you, you know, once it's all done. So for me, it is all about the discipline. It's about staying humble, and it's about enjoying the ride.
So you've obviously got three tiers of signings in you've obviously got your professional side, which is the senior guys. But then when it comes to the academy and also those contracted players under 19s, under 21s, how do you get a return or try and get a return of investment on those under 20s, under 19 guys that you actually sign contracts with, versus the guys that comes through the academy, some of which are also contracted or get up bursaries or whatever the case might be, but also then some of them that come on their own and on their own way.
So at the Sharks, and I guess every union and franchise probably got a separate model, unique model. But for us, the secret, or our secret, the way we do it here in Durban is we're quite closely aligned. So we don't play the numbers game. On average here, we sign under school leavers, we probably sign about 15 to 18 players. Obviously, of which there will be a talent variance. There'll be guys there that are rock stars, the Simpiwe Moyos, the Jerenzo Juliuses of the world. And then you've obviously got other guys which you've kind of ID'd that are super talented, but that are not got that recognition yet at schoolboy ages. And then you've got the guy who you've kind of looked at and then we've kind of ID'd around the country who's like a workhorse. And there's certain positions that just take time, 4, 3, in the forwards particularly, but there's also in certain other positions too. So the question of how do we ensure that these guys come through our system and we don't miss a trick, it's alignment, right? So we're aligned. Kunrad de Villiers runs an amazing, along with his staff, Zola Mazwe and them at the Sharks Academy. When we sit on a weekly basis and we monitor and we kind of discuss, and the same on the professional side, the under 19 squad, the under 21 squad, the coaches are all interlinked because we're all on one, we run out of one facility. So certain other franchises don't have that privilege where they kind of dispersed, and there might be separate conversations happening and opinions about players. Here at the Sharks, we sit around a table and we discuss these guys on a weekly basis. What do they need? How are they progressing? And to me, that takes most of the legwork, takes care of most of the grey areas around a player. Because I think that if there is interventions needed, that we can intervene quicker, and that if there is certain players that are kind of got this that's going through the talent ceiling, we can accommodate them because it's all run out of one facility. The other key area here with us is because we got so few contracted players, we actually want the guys to play Currie Cup at an early age. So you would have seen last year and this year 19-year-olds playing for the Sharks Senior Currie Cup team. Now, when I grew up, and I'm obviously a dinosaur, you've only seen that once every 3 or 4 years, an 18 or 19-year-old playing in the Senior Currie Cup. But the dynamics have changed, and the nutrition these boys are getting, and the physical size of these guys when they come out of school. So for us, if he's good enough, he's old enough. And we've kind of seen over the last 2 years, last year we won the Currie Cup. This year we didn't make the playoffs, but I still think we celebrate the fact that we are putting these guys in amongst the seniors, seeing how they respond when the pressure comes on. So yes, that's the way we do it. I guess that there's you'll probably, as in your travels in your country, if you ask all the different guys, you might get a little bit of nuances. But the summary of it is there's close alignment, there's constant communication. There's a standardized measuring tool in terms of conditioning and expectations. And that to me, I think, is 90% of the trick when you're looking to measure and to ensure that, you're accurate with your talent retention.
Well, look, it's been an absolute honor. And and very, very insightful. Thank you so much, Michael. We are humbled by what we've seen here, to be honest, and may it long continue. May you guys have that 100% success rate that you are looking for, and yeah, good luck for what you guys are doing. 2026 is 2025, 2026 is here. It's on your doorstep, and I hope it's a very, very successful one for the
No, thanks, and thanks a lot for you guys for actually reaching out to us and spending time with us. It is a privilege, and I congratulate once again. I think it started out with a project that you guys envisaged of maybe having a small following, has exploded, and it's so necessary for people to kind of and for me a privilege to share this with you guys, because I think as the more we can share these things, the more people can make informed decisions around what professional sport is and what this beautiful game can offer us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Dankie, Net.
Maybe you hate broccoli or love scary movies. Maybe you're indecisive, adventurous, or always kind. Maybe you snore, have a secret creative talent, or no sense of direction. We don't pretend to know you, but we know certain things get you going. And at MediHelp Medical Scheme, we know about healthcare, as we've been doing it for 120 years. Visit medihelp.co.za for all the information about our plans for everybody.
Johnny Thuis, ek is my ongelooflike onderhoud en maar ek sê vir my ongelooflike insiggewende goed. En een ding wat by my opsteek is die feit dat jy 'n gesonde balans gevestig word.
Yeah, he spoke about a gift, and to be honest, that caught me immediately, because it is a gift to play this sport, especially at this level, or even just to be recognized at this level, to be a part of something still to develop as a youngster. But you must understand, it's a gift, that not only a God-given gift to be able to play the sport, but also a gift to have the opportunity to come to a place like this. And with that, he spoke about the responsibilities and also the stuff that comes around this gift that can sometimes easily take you off track. And the time and the effort that they spend as a leadership group, and even in their alignment, the way they communicate. He spoke about meetings that are ongoing between him, Koenraad de Villiers, Neil Powell and them, the constant communication between them and then obviously the coaches, to make sure that these things are instilled in the players, and how are they progressing, and how are they seeing these boys every 4 weeks, how do they progress every 4 weeks, 6 weeks. To me, that was quite significant. They spent time, Johnny, to get to know these kids. I mean, that to me was amazing.
If you look at a value system, and I think honestly that South Africa is getting it wrong. And let me explain. When you're a father and you've got children, you will be the first one to say, not one of my children are the same. They've got different personalities, different interests, and we as parents are kept accountable to treat those children accordingly to how they differ. Then you can get into a schooling system, and the schooling system have got it wrong, because there's one way of teaching. You sit on your bum, you keep quiet. Whether you're left brain, right brain, emotional, non-emotional, dedicated, non-dedicated, every child in the school system gets treated exactly the same, although they're different. Teachers, if I have to ask them, tell me who that kid is, I can tell you now there's very few that know. And it's imperative to understand where these kids come from. How does their background look? What makes them tick? What is their emotional gifts? How do they perform under pressure? What do they need to have a sense of belonging? And this is one thing that the Sharks have got spot on. They invest time to understand the kid, to learn to know the kids. So by the time that that youngster gets into the system, they already know who this child is. Make no mistake, I mean, you've got to understand, and let's take ourselves back to being young. All of a sudden, you're in an inland school, you're talented, and you get an opportunity at the Sharks. You come to Durban. Durban is extremely laid back. You know, there's a party vibe, and you're a youngster, and they alluded to it. They said, within the fences of the stadium, it's high performance, and outside the fences, it's laid back. You know, so you have to understand and know the kid well enough to know what's the maximum output that you're going to get, and what's the risks involved when you go from a high performance in-stadium setup to the laid-back party out there. So they're getting it right. It's first and foremost to understand the youngster and then to develop him within his respective gifts. And I think that's important.
Yeah, and keeping them accountable. We spoke to them a little bit off camera as well. It's important to keep the young men that gets this opportunity, to keep them accountable when they're here. They all come with stars in their eyes, and when you ask them what do they want to achieve, they all tell you they want to become a Springbok. And then they are set up here in academies or, you know, wherever they live. And if you go and visit them, their apartment doesn't look like somebody that wants to become a Springbok. And to be honest, I love that part, because that's part of basic discipline, basic respect, self-respect to begin with. And that self-discipline to wanna be a better human being, not only just, you know, on a rugby field, but in general. And I really, really like that, because he says, I keep them accountable on that. You told me you wanted to become a Springbok in this union. I'm not so sure you're going to achieve that by lying in your bed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon playing PlayStation. I'm not so sure you'll achieve that if you are waiting for somebody else to make your bed and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So I like that. I think there's some amazing values, like we said earlier, that are being instilled, and they are keeping these boys accountable for the amazing opportunity that they're getting. And they instill that hard work in them, you know, get that discipline right.
Maar as jy nie daai selfrespek het nie, hoe gaan jy 'n voorbeeld wees vir die ander ouetjie, die jonger ouetjie met sterretjies in sy oë wat na jou toe opkyk?
I think the reality is they've got to instill that. Because let's be honest, it's if that culture is set in this environment, you know, whether it's let's talk about an academic school. If everybody in an academic school has got a high mark, you know, you don't want to be that odd one out that wants to have a poor mark. Now, so you, by default, you're going to work harder. And I think they're creating that culture here where it's disciplined, the value system is in place. So the player that comes into the system, if he had a misperception of it's a holiday and he's going to come have fun, yes, he's going to have fun, but it's going to be accompanied by a set of values, and they're driving each other internally to stick to that values.
And it's funny you say fun. Remember his last comment was, the guys must enjoy this. That's the other thing. He spoke about that enjoyment. Every now and then, while you're working so hard, just look up, see the faces that are supporting you, see the people in the stands, recognize that you're doing this for people that adore you, that really wants to support you and understand, and smell the roses while you're in that beautiful garden. It's actually, that was quite significant as well.
Ja, en weet dat hierdie absoluut net genade is op die einde van die dag.
A gift. The next segment was with Koenraad de Villiers. He's the man in charge, really, of all these youngsters and developing into to what we want to see eventually in a Sharks jersey. And this segment was brought to you by Seatrack. Koenraad, it's such a privilege for us to have a conversation with you on this immaculate stadium. I've known you for a number of years, but I'd much rather we go into who you are. Antoinette's got a couple of, we'll do the blindside questions with you. We've saved them for you. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, and it's really been a privilege walking around this place with you.
Koenraad, take us through your rugby journey.
I've actually got a very interesting rugby journey, so I don't know how far you want me to take this back. So my background is actually, I was in wrestling. Competed internationally for South Africa, spent a couple of years overseas, traveled quite a lot overseas, not at all in the rugby environment. And one day there was an old legend, Ian Kirkpatrick, a lot of the older viewers would probably remember him. Walking in the streets in Stellenbosch, he basically grabbed me from behind and said, "Are you the wrestler?" And I said, "I'm assuming I am the wrestler." And he said, "Okay, cool, you're my forwards coach for the Marties under 20s team." So I was like, "I don't know anything about rugby, you got the wrong guy." So I said, "Don't worry, I know a lot about rugby, just be at the training 5 o'clock or whatever the case might be." And that's where my rugby journey started, you know. So I got involved. My first team I coached was actually Marties under 20s with Uncle Kirky. And then from there started getting involved with Paulrus, just because it's close by. I was a student back then still. It's where I met Thijs, and through the years been involved with schools like Boys High, Paulrus, Stellenberg, involved with Marties rugby for many years as well. Then got involved with the SS7s. Paul True initially got me involved with the SS7s just to look at the contact skills because of my wrestling background. And that went on for a couple of years, and then lastly, before I came to the Sharks, I was involved with the Stormers as well. Davie Snyman and Dobbo and the team got me involved there, and then the opportunity came to Durban. So yeah, rest is history, as they say.
Koen, dit is maar interessant dat jy sê jy kom van 'n stoei agtergrond af. Watse skills sal jy sê kom van stoei af wat jy ook vir hierdie spelers kan aanleer?
Ja. Yes, ek dink daar's 'n klomp verskillende aspekte. So obviously die obvious goed waarvan mense altyd praat is die kontak aspek van stoei, verstaan die selfvertroue om in jou tackle situasie, in jou raks, weet die krag en die tegniek wat daarmee gepaard gaan. Dis 'n element daarvan. Groot element daarvan is ook net die selfvertroue om in kontak in te gaan, hè, en om in daai kontak situasies te kan survive, want daar's 'n bietjie van dit ook. En ek dink 'n groter element is, en dit is wat ek sê die meeste deur die jare voel dit vir my die grootste waarde eintlik vir die ouetjies is meer die mental kant daarvan. Want daar's 'n groot in stoei is dit 'n one-on-one fight. Daar's nie wegkruip nie. Jy weet, in 'n rugby is al 'n bietjie van 'n element van die ou langs my kan vir my cover as ek nie 100% gee nie. En ek voel dit is waar ek die grootste waarde uit die ouetjies uit kan kry, is om my mentaliteit te leer van maak dit persoonlik, verstaan? Ek moet hierdie fight gaan survive en die ou langs my met daai fight gaan survive en die ou langs hom met die fight gaan survive vir fase op fase. En as ons almal daai mentaliteit het, dis hoe ons die span beter maak en beter surf. So daar's 'n klomp verskillende elemente. Ek kan antwoord jou vraag op 'n lang manier, maar dis nie net een aspek daarvan nie.
Nee, is baie interessant.
Konrad, you've been involved here now for 3 years, and there's obviously been a massive shift in Sharks rugby, and it's not because it's you sitting here. We've seen that, especially at national weeks. I've spoken to you off camera. I think there's a catch up almost that came automatically from what you guys are doing, and although you're the head of the high performance, call it environment or the academy, you've got a lot of the coaches that resides under you that you need to make sure that they're upskilled, and obviously that flows over to schools. Explain to me a little bit how you get the schools involved in that. In other words, what are your philosophy towards schools wanting to get involved and aligning with what you guys are doing, and then secondly, how you use your current coaches and how are they evaluated, upskilled and obviously kept accountable for their roles.
Yeah, so firstly, it's 2 years, not 3 years. So it's still a fairly young project that we're busy with, and I think there's still a lot to be done. I want to be upfront about that. I think we're talking about a lot of things here, and it's still not a finished project by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's still a lot of work and things that we discuss amongst ourselves that we would like to improve, but it's a work in progress. In terms of the schools, so firstly what I did when I got here, because obviously I'm from the Western Cape, I didn't know anything about the schools in this area, so the first thing for me was just to go introduce myself to the different schools and just spend some time with some of the coaches and directors of rugby of these different schools, and just try and understand what their environment, because every environment is unique as well. As you go up to Pietermaritzburg to the schools, it's a total different environment and challenges that they face. than the schools down in Durban, for example, because there's private and public schools. And just the calendars are different. Just a simple thing like that makes a big difference. So first it was just to understand what they and I try and check in with these coaches and directors of rugby every now and then. Just how's it going? What were your thoughts on the game happening this weekend? Who's the players that and who's the players that you feel is not being looked at as being over senior? So it's more from that type of relationship. We have an open door policy at the Sharks. Whether it's the academy, the junior structures, the senior team, there's always an open door policy. Any coach, and I do get a lot of coaches phoning and saying, "Listen, can I come spend a couple of days here at the Sharks?" And to my knowledge, I've never said no to anyone. They're always welcome to come spend a bit of time here, ask questions. At the academy side, we do get a lot of coaches, and then afterwards we just watch the sessions, and afterwards we just sit in the coffee shop or whatever and just discuss. What have you picked up? What's the questions? What could we potentially help with? What can we learn from you? Because I think that's a big thing as well. Is yes, man. It's not like we're saying we've got all the knowledge just because we sit with a black jersey on. You notice you learn every day from everyone.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a big thing for us as well. Is let's keep learning. With the coaches in our system, I think from my perspective now, the role now is. I'm actually less involved with the actual coaching per se. I do like to get involved with some of the sessions every now and then, but it's more just observing and asking questions. Listen, are we on track here? Why are we doing this? Can't we do it this way? Have you thought of this? And once again, it's just asking questions. It's they run their show, they do their thing. From my perspective, it's just more, let's just discuss and see, because what I found is coaches get stuck, and it's not by no one's fault. It's just that's how it works. Is they get stuck in their campaign, and it's week in, week out, and they're just focusing on the team. So sometimes you just lose a bit of that, overall perspective of things. And I think that's why I see my role more is just saying, listen, let's get out of the emotional of day to day or week to week focus, and let's just see this thing from a bigger picture and ask questions around that.
Konrad, kom ons gesels 'n bietjie jong spelers. Ons almal weet wat die persentasie is vir hoe min dit maak tot daarbo. Hoe berei mense hierdie jong spelers voor vir die realiteit dat nie almal dit gaan maak tot daarbo nie?
Sure, ja. Uit die aard van my werk is dit nogal 'n groot deel van my dag is om actually met ouers te gesels en jong spelers te gesels. En ek wil vir jou sê, en ek sê dit glad nie, ek sê dit met die grootste nederigheid en respek, dat dit is elke ouer met wie jy praat, glo sy kind is die hardste werker, is die mees gedissiplineerde kind, is die beste speler. En dit is ook reg so. Verstaan, ek sê dit glad nie in 'n negatiewe sin nie. Maar ek is ook nou al 'n rukkie in hierdie omgewing en ek het ook nou al gesien, verstaan, jou kind kan alles hê wat jy sê hy het, 100%, maar dit is nog steeds 'n klomp ander boksies wat ons moet tik vir hom om deur die stelsel te kom. En so ek dink dit is van my perspektief is kom ons kry die ouetjies, verstaan jy kan nooit vir iemand sê jy gaan dit nie maak nie. Ek het al daai foute in my lewe gemaak dat jy gedink het daar's nie 'n manier die speler maak dit nie. En as jy weer sien dan is die ou weg en dan aan dieselfde kant is daar spelers wat ek gedink het self afgerig het. Hierdie ou is 'n bok op 18. Verstaan, hy's fenomenaal en hy's vandag nog nie 'n bok nie. Verstaan jy? So dis 'n baie moeilike ding. Elke ou moet sy eie journey loop. Ek dink van hoe ek voel is ons moet waardes in die ouetjies kry. As die ouetjies hier instap dag 1, hy moet weet wat harde werk is. En dit is my baie belangrik en ek praat baie met die spelers daaroor is jy moet interne motivering hê. Verstaan, dit help nie jou motivering is jou ma of jou girlfriend wat vir jou drukkies gee na 'n game en dis waarvoor jy speel of social media.
Foto's wat geneem word,
As dit jou motivering is, gaan jy dit nie maak nie. Dit is regtig ek is sommer eerlik daaroor. Jy moet iets intern kry wat jou motiveer. Iets wat jy bereid is om meer in te sit as jou langs jou. Verstaan, ek kry altyd die manne bymekaar en sê ek boys, hier's 10 ouens wat compete vir daai sport. Wat gaan jou anders te maak? En dan as jy dink hier's 10 ouens in ons stelsel, ek weet daar's 10 ouens in elke ander stelsel in die land. En almal fight vir daai spot in daai groene goud trui. Verstaan, so wat gaan jou anders te maak? Harde werk. Jy kom nie daarby verby nie. Dis nie 100% garantie, maar ek kan vir jou wel sê daar is min ouens wat dit maak wat nie hard werk nie. Verstaan, daar's baie ouens wat dit maak omdat hulle hard gewerk het. So kry daai werksetiek in jou. Dit is my belangrikste ding. Jy moet kan werk. En ek dink die stelsel op die oomblik en daar's nou ons kan dis 'n debat op sy eie oor hoe ons junior strukture, kompetisiestrukture werk op die oomblik, maar weet die ouetjies, jy kom hier in van 'n groot hype van skool af en hier's eintlik niks, jy's 'n nobody, né? Jy speel 5 games daar Currie Cup as jy gelukkig is in 'n seisoen, verstaan op onder 19 onder 21 is nou 'n bietjie meer. So jy sit hier so en jy oefen jou gat af en daar's eintlik niks nie. Daar's geen reward nie, verstaan.
Ja.
En dit is eintlik vir my in 'n mate hou ek daarvan want dit is ook nou sien jy die ouetjies wat interne motivering het wat sê yes, ek is eintlik verveeld. Ek oefen net die hele dag, maar weet jy wat, ek gaan nog steeds aan oefen want ek sien die groter prentjie, verstaan? So deur dit en dan begin jy ouetjies se karakters ook sien, verstaan? Dissipline, harde werk en net mens, verstaan? Wat 'n mens is hierdie ouetjie? As dit bietjie taaf raak.
Want ek dink ook hier kom 'n klomp ouetjies aan met hoop talent en dan bitter min dissipline.
100%. Ek kan vir jou boeke skryf oor sulke ouetjies wat ek al oor die jare gesien het, wat jy hierdie ou is 'n superster, hy's absoluut talentvol. En dis nie dat hy nie kan hard oefen nie, maar dit is net soos ek sê, ek dink dit is jy moet konsekwent kan hard oefen oor 'n lang tydperk. Ek dink dis wat die ouetjies die meeste mis. Weet as jy vir hom sê gaan hardloop by Broncos, ja, dan hardloop hy, verstaan en hy kan oefen.
Ja.
Maar dit is om daai ding konsekwent te doen as niemand vir jou kyk nie. Ek dink dit is nogal vir my 'n deurslaggewende faktor in baie van die ouetjies wat éventueel deur die stelsel kom. Ja.
We've seen that at some of these schools. I mean, they told us you are aligning with them, so it is amazing. They understand your presence and they really want that. They welcome that. And they are also, and I mean, those coaches want to come to you. They want to learn. They want to, rub shoulders and understand how you guys are doing things because it's obviously they want to be successful. That makes you guys successful. And one thing that I want to touch on that you guys said was there's a lot of work done before there's any competition. And we spoke a little bit about it off camera regarding the amount of time you have before they actually start going into competition and the base that you're trying to create in terms of fitness, physicality, etc. That component. Because there's not a lot of time if he then does make it, continuously with the way the seasons are structured to actually do it. Can you talk us through that a bit? Because you spoke about that specifically and I thought that was a very good approach, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think the reality is once they get to senior level, yes, with all these competitions the guys play in, and I'm not even taking the Springbok guys in account, I mean, let's leave them out of this whole scenario. There's still the senior rugby is a lot of rugby, and the guys, it's almost at senior level you never get an opportunity to have a proper pre-season like this. I think in your time where it was Super Rugby 4 or 5 months, and then there's a long 3-month basically pre-season before the Currie Cup starts again, and you'll know. You must correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was more or less something like that, so you could divide your season into, all right, at this block I'm going to hit my seniors again, we're going to have a proper pre-season, get them fit, get them strong, going to the next competition. Today it's not possible, the seasons are just too long. So I think the big thing is, what I realize is we need to do it at a junior level. We need to build a foundation for these guys to be able to cope with the loads of senior rugby at a youth level, because once they start going up in the system, if you haven't built that foundation, it's gone. You're never going to have time to build that foundation. So that is one of the big focus areas for us is, and we're still experimenting with it. I'm not saying we've got the formula 100% yet. We still need to improve on that. But how do we build that proper foundation that an athlete that comes through our system, we can go to Neil and Plum and say, listen, he's got our stamp of approval. This guy's going to make it for you. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but he will last.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. Injuries that also plays a big role in this whole, chess game. Basically, is you want to bring players through your system that's battle hardened. Is the word we use a lot here. Is his body should last for the job that he's going to have to do for the next 10 years of his life or whatever the case might be.
Konrad, hoe leer jy vir hierdie jong spelers die vaardighede aan om te kan cope met almal se verwagtinge? Ek bedoel hy kom hier in, hier's hierdie groot hype. Hy kry 'n rowwe besering. Hoe leer jy vir hom om half terug te bons? Nou, kom ons gaan net gou-gou weer terug na alles toe. Hoe leer mens daai vaardighede vir 'n speler aan?
Ek gaan jou vraag bietjie op 'n langer manier antwoord, want ek dink daar's 2 elemente wat ons ook moet verstaan. So obviously ons kry ons gekontrakteerde ouetjies wat in die stelsel kom as die, kom ons noem dit dan nou maar die, ek haat dit om dit so te beskryf, maar kom ons beskryf dit dan maar so, as die die hype ouens, weet dis nou die ouens wat nou die top ouetjies is in jou stelsel. Maar dan het ons ook 'n groot akademiegroep ouetjies wat ons inbring. En dit is ouetjies wat vir 'n verskeidenheid van redes dalk net nie raak gesien is in die skoolomgewing. Weet hy laat ontwikkelaars, sy ouers kon geskei het in sy matriekjaar of wat ook al die geval mag wees, verstaan? So daar's 'n klomp sulke faktore van hierdie spelers, maar hulle is net so talentvol en of baie keer, dit is eintlik my gunsteling speler, so 'n afrigter wat my bel en vir my sê, hoor ek coach hierdie ouetjie al vir 5 jaar. Hier's iets in die laaitjie. Niemand praat oor hierdie ouetjie nie, maar ek sê vir jou hier's ietsie. En ek hou van daai ouetjies. Ek hou van daai stories. Verstaan, so ek is regtig dis die tipe ouetjies wat ons in ons stelsel wil hê. En die eerste vraag wat ek altyd vir afrigter vra is, wat se mens is hy? Wat is sy karakter? Want daarmee kan ek werk. As 'n ou nie gedissiplineerd is daar nie, dan gaan die res al klaar nie vir my werk nie. Verstaan, so dis die tipe vraag. Nou sit ons hierdie groep manne bymekaar. Alraai, almal met sterretjies in oë, almal het groot verwagtinge. Dan moet jy nou daai sterretjies in die oë begin realiteit besef, so jy moet hulle 'n bietjie afbreek, maar op 'n mooi manier, nie om selfbeeld af te breek nie, maar weet jy moet hulle net 'n bietjie realiteit laat besef en hulle gaan moet werk. Right, so daar's die eerste stap. En dan op jou vraag, dan kom teleurstelling. Dit nou is daar besering. So obviously dan elke speler se persoonlikheid en hopelik teen daai tyd het ons al 'n bietjie beter van 'n idee van wat daai persoonlikhede is. So elke speler hanteer jy ook anders. Weet hoe ek met een speler gaan praat oor sy teleurstelling is 'n ander storie. Maar wat ek vir jou wel kan sê, dit is iets wat ek regtig probeer doen, is ek sit nou byvoorbeeld met 'n speler wat sê man, hy het hier aangekom met 'n besering, net begin lekker rugby speel, weer 'n langtermyn 9 maande uit besering. En ek het geweet in ons gesprekke en so aan, het ek geweet hy hou baie van videografie en sulke tipe goed en ek het hom dadelik ingeroep en gesê, Boeta, moenie nou moed verloor nie, kom ons kry jou in en ek gaan jou 'n bietjie op 'n ander manier stimuleer. So terwyl jy besig om te rehab en ek gaan incheck met die physios en die bars en jy gaan hard rehab en jy gaan hard werk in die gym, gaan jy terwyl jy nou nie op die veld kan wees nie, gaan jy begin video-analises doen en so hy is besig om die senior span te werk op die oomblik. Weet hy neem hulle af en hulle is besig om te leer om te code en video-analises en hy geniet dit nou verskriklik. Verstaan, so dit is nou vir hom iets wat byvoorbeeld baie lekker is. En so moet jy maar vir elke ouetjie, want elke ou het iets anders wat hom maak tik. Verstaan, it's not a one size fits all tipe ding. So dis maar vir my, jy probeer die ouetjies in die stelsel bou, jy probeer om deel van die span nou soveel as wat jy kan, maar dis ook baie keer, mens moet ook sensitief wees daarvoor. Is nou gaan die ouetjie in die gym en hy moet nou op die rehab toerusting sit wat kom ons face dit, dis maar boring baie keer. En die ander manne is hier besig om die gym weights te breek en dit gaan lekker daar binne en hy sit hier en hy voel amper half en dis amper partykeer ook demotiverend vir die spelers. So jy moet daai balans probeer ons ook 'n bietjie regkry en te sê weet kom ons en ek praat baie met ons baie daaroor. Kry 'n lekker omgewing daar vir die ouetjies daaroor dat hulle voel hulle is nog steeds deel van die groep.
Ja.
Sit nog steeds in die video sessies en wat ook al die geval mag wees. Mens probeer maar daai balans hanteer. Ja.
Koeland, julle spandeer baie tyd aan individuele vaardighede. En dis iets wat ek wat vir my na in die hart lê want ek dink daar word in ons skoolstrukture baie meer patterns en speelstyl en noem dit nou maar structure gecoach is wat daar regtig individueel aandag gegee word aan 'n ouetjie wat se paas na links dalk net nie is wat dit moet wees nie. Jy's got everything he needs that bit. Of jy weet voor hy kan met een sessie met 'n ordentlike loskop voor hy wat hom help, gaan hy 'n legio van goed aanleer. Om die individu hoeveel tyd spandeer julle aan individuele vaardighede en hoe belangrik is dit vir julle in die akademie, juis in die akademie opset om hy te prepare sodat as hy eventueel by Plumble kom, dan nie eintlik vir hom werk nodig is op daai area nie.
Dit is iets wat ons en weer eens, ek wil nie hier so sit en maak asof ons al die antwoorde het nie. So ek dink daar's nog steeds verbetering wat ons kan doen in daai area. Maar dit is iets wat regtig vir ons wat ons regtig probeer. Ons probeer dit ten minste elke dag waar daar geoefen word, is daar 'n deel van die dag wat uitgesit word vir individual skill development. Het sy dit nou passing is of in jou posisie, verstaan, gooie, skoppe, box kicks, wat ook al die geval mag wees. So ons probeer regtig daai aspek aanraak. En weet ek kom baie by die skooltoernooie en soos jy die toernooie kyk, soos jy sê, verstaan die ouetjies speel groot rugby, maar daar's eintlik min skole wat jy kan sê, yes, die ouens kan opspoed 'n bal paas of skop of wat ook al die geval mag wees en akkuraat. Ek praat van akkuraat doen, verstaan. So jy kry al hierdie ouens bymekaar en dan selfs die ouens wat uit 'n skool kom wat jy sê, daar's baie daarvan het gebeur, is die kind gemaklik in daai stelsel gewees en nou kom hy in 'n ander stelsel met ander spelers rondom hom en skielik lyk ook nie meer so goed soos wat hy op skool gelyk het nie. Verstaan, so dit is maar 'n bietjie van 'n aanpassing en jy probeer ook maar daai aspekte in ag neem. Maar ja, van ons perspektief af, dit is posisionele skills en net basiese rugby skills. Tackle tegniek is 'n groot ding. Is iets wat ons baie byvoorbeeld is nou iets wat persoonlik na my hart ook is net om daai veiligheid vir die ouetjies in ag te neem, dat ons daai tackle tegniek net reg kry dat die ouetjies veilig is op die rugbyveld ten minste. Want die ouetjies klim in, verstaan, want hulle kom almal in veg vir posisie, so dit raak die kontak sessies raak rowwe kontak sessies partykeer en as jy nie die ouens dan ordentlike tegniek geleer het nie, raak dit gevaarlike kontak sessies. So ja, ons probeer alle aspekte nogal regtig hanteer. Ja, ten minste elke dag waar geoefen word, is daar 'n deel daarvan wat daarin
individuele
uitgesit word. Ja.
Hoe lyk ware leierskap vir jou? Is die ouetjie wat die kaptein is op hoërskool noodwendig die ouetjie wat hier ook die kaptein van die rugbyspan word?
Nee. Ek dink weer eens daar's verskillende maniere. Jy kry ouetjies wat stil is, maar lei deur sy voorbeeld en kry die ander spelers om hom te respekteer en half te erken as die leier. Hy praat niks nie, maar hy werk. As daar gewerk word, is hy die ou wat voorvat. Verstaan, niemand kan by hom bybly nie en spelers reageer positief tot so 'n tipe ou. Hulle respekteer dit verskriklik. Dan het jy die ouens wat baie praat. Maar ek dink jy kry ook dan ouens wat net 'n natuurlike leier is. Verstaan, dit is iets wat elke speler het of nie het nie. Ongelukkig is dit maar net so en ou kan daai ding nie. Dit is baie moeilik om daai ding regtig verder te ontwikkel, dink ek. Ek mag dalk verkeerd wees, maar ek voel nogal jy kan sien daai is 'n natuurlike leier. Maar in my ervaring 'n natuurlike leier is nie 'n leier as hy nie kan hard werk ook nie. So daai harde werk element gaan weer inkom. Verstaan, jy kan baie praat, maar eers gaan die spelers vir jou begin sê, nee, maar boeta, jy praat net en jy doen nie, verstaan, en dan erken hulle jou ook nie meer as die leier in die groep nie. So ek dink natuurlik om as ek nou vir jou vinnig antwoord moet gee is dis gaan maar die ou moet wees wat ook kan voorvat as daar hard gewerk word. Verstaan, ek het al in my lewe ook gesien ouetjies wat hy kan oefen, maar as dit tawwe dag, defense dag, as dit nou gloves is nou afval, nou gaan ons mekaar eet, dan is hy beseer of dan is daar nou
ja, dan sal ietsie.
As dit nou lekker skills daar is, dan is hy voor en like flashy, maar op die rowwe daar en eers begin daai ding ook uitsorteer. Die spelers ook daai ding begin agterkom met en dan verloor hulle 'n bietjie respek vir hom. So ek dink dit is maar jy gaan nie by daai ding verbykom nie, net om in enige sport, nie net rugby nie.
Ja.
Eintlik maar enigiets in die lewe, die ou wat kan graaf is maar eintlik die ou wat homself die beste kans gee tot sukses.
En ook die ou hier buite hierdie 4 lyne.
100%.
Hoe lyk jy daar buite die 4 lyne?
Ja.
Hoe lyk jy daar tussen druk?
Ja.
Goeie druk en verkeerde druk.
Ja. Ja, daar's en dis nogal iets en ek dink ek het so deel gehoor van julle onderhoud met Mike en ek dink hy het nogal 'n bietjie daaraan geraak is. Dit as ons na ouetjies kyk op van die veld af, gedrag van die veld af en ek sal nooit vergeet ek het vroeër vanjaar was ek by 'n toernooi en ek het 'n speletjie daar gesien en net hoe hy die hele tyd met sy spanmaats gepraat het. Hulle was bietjie onder druk geweest in daai wedstryd en dit het swaar gegaan. Maar hy was die ou wat die hele tyd almal gaan incheck het, reg deur hier en dit is nogal iets wat mense uitstaan. En ek dink in ons stelsel is dit nogal iets waarvoor ons kyk is wie's daai ouetjies wat daai karakter het dat selfs al gaan dit swaar is ek die ou wat my spanmaats gaan probeer help. Ek is 'n diener, nie. Ons en ek dink dit kom ook van leierskap af. Ons sit met leiers reg bo wat dis dien. Kom ons dien die Sharks. Kom ons dien die stelsel waarin ons is. Dit gaan nie oor my nie, dit gaan oor ons, verstaan? En ek dink dis nogal 'n waarde wat ons baie dryf. So ons soek ook daai tipe spelers in ons stelsel.
'n Laaste vraag, Koenraad. Ek gebruik baie die woord coachable. Want jy kry ongelooflike talentvolle seuns wat dink uit alles en hy raak amper uncoachable. Want volgens hom en sy ma en sy pa en sy oom en sy tannie en almal wat hom support, het hy eintlik alles. Hy kort net die baadjie, dan is hy 'n bok.
Ja.
En is iets wat nie regtig gekweek word in skole nie. Dit word by die huis gekweek. Hoe belangrik is dit vir die kykers daar buite om te besef die marges is so klein, die margin of error is so klein dat daai komponent van ek moet coachable wees, ek moet adaptable wees. Hoe belangrik is dit in 'n unie soos by julle en selfs enige unie rarig?
Tuis, ek kan nie vir jou, dit is amper van die belangrikste goed, verstaan, jy kan hard werk soos wat jy wil, maar as die coach nie vir jou kan kry om in te koop in sy gameplan nie, en onthou, die gameplans verander week tot week, verstaan, so jy moet kan aanpas by volgende week sy gameplan, verstaan, hoe jy teen die Stormers gaan speel, of hoe jy teen die Lions gaan speel, is nie is noodwendig dieselfde, daar is seker goed wat dieselfde bly, maar ek bedoel, jy moet kan aanpas, dis die beginsel. En 'n ouetjie wat nie dit kan doen nie, en dit is nogal iets wat ons baie op die junior vlak vinnig kan raak sien, en ek kan nou vir jou sê, ek dink in skole vlak kom ouens dalk al mee weg, want die skool, veral nie kleiner skole, het nie noodwendig iemand anders om te kies nie. Hy moet nou maar met die ou sit, want ek het niemand anders nie. In hierdie stelsel is dit nie dit nie. Verstaan, as jy nie coachable is nie, gaan jy uitgeskei word. Daar is nie ander, ons kan vir jou fight vir baie goeders, verstaan, ons foute kan jy maak. Dis seker een van die goed wat ons meestal die langste op sal kans gee, is maak foute, dis fyn. Jy's 'n junior speler, selfs van die veld af, verstaan, jy gaan droog maak ergens, en ek sê altyd vir spelers, ek het heeltemal grasie daarvoor, gaan maak jou foute, moenie dieselfde foute oor en oor maak, en dan gaan ons 'n probleem hê, maar as jy 'n fout maak, ek het grasie daarvoor, maar om nie leerbaar te wees van die veld af en op die veld, dis nogal 'n groot no-go hoor. Ek dink nie, ons het baie geduld om eerlik mee te wees met ouetjies soos dit nie.
Conrad, dit was vir ons rarig 'n voorreg en insiggewend. Ek weet julle is besig met fantastiese goed hier en ek wil die skole daar buite nooi. I mean, all the schools that are involved in the Sharks. And to be quite honest, any coach, even if you're not in this province, if you want to really see what it's about and understand how to build a culture, how to not talk a culture but have it seen, come and visit the Sharks, come and visit Conrad and the guys that are involved, not only at the juniors, I mean, right through to Neil and Michael and all of them. We've seen that. We really, really have a lot of respect for that, because at Blindside we stand for that. You know, we stand for respecting your coaches, your peers, etc., and also that discipline factor. You know, there's so many things that has fallen by the wayside with this winning culture that, you know, it's almost not that important. We want to really emphasize that. It's important to respect the people around you. It's important to have the discipline. It's important to have a loyalty, and for us, we see that here. You didn't have to tell us. Like we said in the earlier interviews, we can see that, and I urge any coach that are involved in the Sharks setup, whether it's primary school, high school, you know, or anywhere else in this country, if you want to do yourself a favor, come and visit Conrad and the boys. I'm sure your doors are always open for that, and we really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Conrad.
No, thanks a lot, Tyson. Thanks to you and your team. It's been amazing to have you guys here. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to tell you what we're about, and I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. You know, we're not standing and saying we know everything. You know, it's still a work in progress, and we all open to learn every day. But yeah, thanks for the time that we were able to spend with you guys. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Conrad.
Here's to 40 years of being on the road with him. 40 years of driving progress, building trust, and shaping the future. At SeaTrack, we're just getting started.
Sjoe, Thijs, dit was regtig ook 'n powerful interview, en een ding wat Conrad vir my gesê het, is daar's vir hom twee goedjies belangrik in 'n jong speler. Hy moet kan wil leer en hy moet aanpasbaar wees. En ek voel as jy as 'n jong ouetjie aankom, ons praat so van sterretjies in jou oë, is lekker om hier te wees, 'n groot voorreg om hier te wees, maar wil jy leer en wil jy aanpas by die game, want hy het ook genoem, elke game gaan verskil, daar gaan basics wees wat dieselfde gaan wees, maar elke gameplan gaan anders wees vir 'n verskillende span.
Ja, adaptability en coachability. Dis twee baie uiteenlopende onderwerpe. Ek het spesifiek die vraag gevra oor coachability. Want daar's baie seuns wat uit 'n baie beskermende environment uitkom, veral in jou meer prominente skole. Highlight het amper van onder 14 af regdeur tot by die eerste span het hy A-span gespeel. vir welke rede ook al, of dit nou talent is en of dit 'n mamma en pappa se invloed was, maar Aasman het 'n Aasman gespeel.
Of dit nou die Lapa is wat geborg was.
Ja, so die adaptability en dis waarskynlik 'n seun met talent of potensiaal. Die takkie slaan nie teer as jy die voorreg het om dan éventueel in so 'n omgewing te wees. En ek vra dan altyd die vraag, hoe afrigbaar is jy? As dinge nie noodwendig gaan soos wat dit voorheen vir jou gegaan het. Hoe coachable is jy op die veld? Aanpasbaar met presies wat ek gesê het, verskillende spelsisteme en gameplan structures wat dalk verander van wedstryd tot wedstryd. Maar hoe coachable is jy van die veld af? Om jou menswees aan te pas by dit wat die values is wat hulle hier probeer vestig. Daai Johnny, hoe belangrik is dit nie om vir 'n jong seun te laat verstaan nie?
Look, I was so privileged to meet him last night already, Koenraad. You know, and I'm an advocate for it. If there's one beautiful characteristic trait, it's a humble spirit. And he walked into the restaurant last night. I picked it up immediately. So let's talk about coachability, and then I want to talk about teachability. So coachability is important because it's showing certain skills to youngsters and transferring your knowledge by showcasing what he needs to do on and off the field. And then you get teachability. Teachability for me is the key here. And that's one fundamental that I believe Koenraad's getting right. And I'll tell you why. When there is a session, whether it's got to do with tackling or it's got to do with wrestling or it's got to do, he's not coaching. He's teaching. Because he's participating. He's on the floor. He's tackling as well. You know, so he's not only transferring skills, he's becoming part of their DNA. He's becoming part of their life. And he told us the story about the one player that now whenever he leads by example, he brings a jersey to Koenraad because he needs him to be part of this team. And I've always said it, you know, you can coach as much as you want to. But if you really want to teach somebody, lead by example. He doesn't have to do that. He's got enough knowledge and expertise to just coach. He's teaching. And then it comes back to the value system for me that Koenraad instills. Let's be honest, when you look at the media hype nowadays on schoolboy rugby, and certain players get elevated and it's like a bomb exploding out there, whether it's a fullback, whether it's a prop, and they make this hype about this kid. And all of a sudden you come out of this, call it school environment, into a junior structure at the franchise like the Sharks, where, you know, you don't get that limelight at the under 19s and under 21s. It's not on SuperSport every weekend. And all of a sudden, you're not this hero. And part and parcel of what he said, the key element is the balance to take that player. And it's not because you wanted to be elevated by the media. It happened by default, but now he's there. Now he comes into a junior system, and the key is to bring that player back to earth without harming his confidence and his self-respect, but to teach him the values that it's not all about you and it's not all about your hype and all about your media exposure. It's about, this is a team sport, you know, and for me what stands out in that is when whoever that player is, when he comes here and he's been hyped in the media and he walks into a gym or into a wrestling session or tackling system, all of a sudden he sees this senior, call it coach, manager, that's participating with him. If he can get his hands dirty, so can I. And that's leading by example. And that for me is a key element.
Een ding wat hy ook gesê het, is hy het gepraat van hierdie speler wat beseer was, hierdie jong ouetjie wat lekker gespeel het toe 'n besering opgedoen het, en hy's ook tegnies aangelê met die video-analise en hoe hy vir hom gesê het, luister, gaan doen jou rehab, ons doen dit goed, en dan help jy my met die video-analise? En ek bedoel, toe hy gepraat het, was hy besig met die seniors om die video-analise te doen. Dit is net daai stappie ekstra myl, hou hierdie ouetjie gemotiveerd. Ek bedoel, hy leer ook uit hierdie video-analise, en as hy terugkom, is eintlik net goed vir hom.
Reg so, en weer eens, ons kyk na die holistiese ontwikkeling weer eens van 'n human being. Ander attributes raak gesien, of belangstelling raak gesien, van 'n ouetjie wat dood eenvoudig dit waarskynlik eendag gesê het in 'n videosessie, ek like dit om met die videosessie besig te wees, of selfs kamera vas te hou, wat ook al, en genoeg aandag daaraan gegee het, dat toe die besering kom, toe kon sê, maar wag, ek het dalk 'n ander avenue, om die ou net in 'n positiewe frame of mind te hou, terwyl hy in elk geval moet rehab, en wat ons weet, nie altyd die maklikste is nie. Ek moet sê, wat vir my uitstaan, en ons kan dit deurtrek deur al 3 die onderhoude, is hier's 'n amper dringendheid om 'n verskil te maak in hulle eie approach. So hulle evalueer hulle self die hele tyd. Hulle sê die hele tyd, ons sê nie by any scope of imagination dat ons nog op 100% is nie. Ons is nog ver van dit af. En dit wat ons in die laaste 2 jaar gesien het, is al klaar 'n massive shift in waartoe Sharks rugby gaan, veral op die junior vlakke. En om die hele tyd te hoor, maar ons is nog nie tevrede nie, ons is nie 100% nie, ons weet daar's baie goed waaraan ons kan werk. Dit as sulks gee vir my incredible hoop vir waartoe die ouens op pad is, want hulle is konstant besig om hulle self ook te evalueer as leierskap. En dit gaan uit die aard van die saak, noem dit maar afrab op 'n speler, want hy gaan sien, nee, hierdie ouens wil hulle self die hele tyd verbeter. Ek kan nie op die bed gaan lê en video games speel nie. Ek moet in daai selfe frame of mind wees, Johnny.
Look, let's call a spade a spade. If I had a son, and he had the talent, first and foremost, I would seriously consider placing him with the Sharks. There's no guarantees when it comes to what happens between the 4 lines. You can have a Frans Steyn that's a one in a generation rugby player, and then at the age of 22 he tears his Achilles and his rugby career is finished. So yes, the Sharks will make you a great rugby player, but the Sharks will make you an even better human being, and that's the fundamental. You know, we look at the Springboks and their victories, and everybody is bokbedonderd, which I understand, and they, where does that talent come from? It's unions and franchises like this that's instilling the right values, that's creating better human beings in order for those players to excel and become great Springboks. And some of those boys will end up here, whether it's under 20, under 21, Currie Cup. Yeah, they might become a Springbok CEO of a company one day, because the value systems that they've been taught at the Sharks is the fundamental. So we shouldn't forget that. It's a great union, it's a great management team. I hugely respect them, and I tell you now that this, you know, and I've got the privilege. I mean, my daughter's boyfriend's coming here next year, and the Bulls also wanted to give him a contract. I come from Pretoria, and obviously I wanted him to go to the Bulls. I am so glad and so honored that he's coming to this union, because what I saw today, you know, this is an unbelievable union for one reason. Not about the Shark badge, it's about the people behind the scenes.
Definitief, hierdie mense praat uit een mond uit, een taal, hierdie kultuur is fantasties, en ons is regtig bevoorreg geweest om hierdie te kon leer ken.
Yeah, and Johnny, you are so right. We don't want to knock any other union. Let's not say that. We will never do that.
The Bulls are brilliant, Province are brilliant, all of them. For me, what I saw, that's my perception. And a friend of mine always says, you know, your perception is your truth. And I can voice my perception.
I absolutely.
If I had a boy, I would have sent him here because of the value system.
Correct.
Other people, you know, have got different opinions and outlooks on life, and these boys will go wherever they deem fit. I love what I see.
Yeah, but as for me and my house, yeah. So, and I agree. I think what we saw here is not only hopeful for the Sharks. It's phenomenal for for the kids that gets the opportunity to get here. An absolute privilege to have spent the day here. I'm actually so glad that we decided to do the Sharks as part of this as well. We'll still be going to the Lions and the Western Province and some of the other unions, but what a privilege this was, and hopefully we see hundreds of thousands of clicks on this specific episode, because it'll change a lot of narratives, and it'll definitely encourage a lot of people to look a bit differently about what it takes to get here.
Thijs, it all starts with the head, let's be honest. In the next 4 weeks, we're going to concentrate on some of the greatest rugby schools in KZN. We're going to feature that. And let's be honest, there's been a huge divide the last couple of years between North and South, talking Gauteng schools, Cape Town schools. That was a talk of a town. And all of a sudden, the East is coming in with a force.
Closing the gap.
That's the East, crawled upon us without us noticing. You can see what's happening with these schools rugby, and it starts with the Sharks. So I'm excited to feature these schools over the next weeks, but this was a huge honor for me. Huge honor to be at this union.
Absolutely. And the first of those schools we'll be visiting, Johnny, is Durban High School, which again was one of the most significant episodes that we've had the privilege to go and do.
Yeah, and that culture pulls through. You can see
100%. 100%. And we cannot wait to see you for that episode. Please do not forget to click and subscribe. Please set that reminder so that you don't miss an episode. And thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.